Hi everybody, it's me, Patrick, and I'm here with a video about professional email creation. If you're watching this video, chances are you have recently sent me an email. And first, let me say, thanks for sending that email. But before we talk about that email, let's talk about what email is exactly. So what is email for? Well, email is, of course, how we communicate. But more importantly, it's composed depending on the context. So, for example, what is the communication about? Now, when you send me an email, because I'm your professor, this is called a professional context. We have a professor-student relationship. Therefore, all emails should be composed in a professional way. So, what does that look like exactly? What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go through four basic things that all professional emails should have. Not just emails to me, your professor, but emails to any of your professors or any other professional contact you may have, such as a potential employer, a university official, or even a colleague that you're writing to about some kind of an official company process or other topic. So let's look at what those four things are. So the four things that are in a professional email start with the subject line. The subject line should contain the topic of your email. That is, what is your email about? Many people get dozens or even hundreds of emails a day. And so the subject line is so valuable to help those people figure out how to sift through those hundreds of emails. So the topic of your email should be in the subject line, and it should be pretty obvious what the topic is. Also, if you're in an educational setting, like this class, you should also include your class name. That is, what class are you emailing from? For example, if you're in an online class, you would put the name of the class and then it's online. Or if you know the section number of your class, you could do the name of the class and the section number. Or if you are doing a class that is face-to-face, you could do the time and day that the class meets. The second thing that your professional email should have is a greeting or a salutation. And what I mean by that is simply a dear or hello kind of line at the beginning, or even just the name of the person is fine. So dear Patrick, hello Patrick, or even just Patrick would be totally acceptable. The third part of your email is the body. Now, the body of the email should be composed of full sentences, proper grammar, spelling, and, when appropriate, paragraphs. That should be used, those paragraphs should be used when the email is particularly long. If you have a lot of information or complex information, separating into paragraphs is very helpful for the reader. And the final thing that all professional emails should have is a closing. And that closing could be something like thank you and then your name, or sincerely and your name, or even just sign your name at the end. So these are the four things that all emails should have. A subject line that includes the topic of your email, and if it's an educational setting, what class you're emailing from. A greeting or salutation, a body, and a closing. So now that we've covered what an email should have, let's look at some samples of emails. So here's one sample. You can see that the subject line is Speech 1318-5014, interpersonal communication. And the body is, in class, you said that reflections due at 9 a.m. Syllabus says 11:59 p.m., so what's what? This is not a very good example of a professional email. Now, there is one good thing about this, and that is that the subject line is here, and the subject line includes what class this person is emailing from. That's because this person sent this email from D2L. And if you're sending an email from D2L, whenever you start an email, it auto-populates the subject line with the class you're emailing from, which is nice, but unfortunately, it doesn't tell you the topic of the email. And then what we have down here in the bodies, we're missing, first of all, a greeting, and we're missing a closing. And the actual body is not using proper grammar, spelling, and just basic sentence structure. So that's kind of a problem there. It's not very professional at all. So that's an unprofessional email. What about perhaps a more professional email? Let's take a look at an example. So the subject line here is deadline question, and the person put in parentheses, speech 1318 online. says, hi, Patrick, in class, you said that our outlines were due at 9 a.m., but in the syllabus it says they're due at 11:59 p.m., which is the correct time. Thank you in advance for clarifying, Hermione G. So for those Harry Potter fans out there, this is Hermione Granger, who I am very appreciative of. She is, I'm a big Harry Potter fan myself. She's a great student here, and she does all the things that I'm looking for. She has the topic of the email, as well as where she's emailing from. She has a greeting here. She has the body. She has a little closing down here. Also notice that there's these spaces in between the parts of the email. So it's not just one big block of text. These spaces make it look more like a letter, and a professional email should look like a letter. One final note here is that the topic is the most important part of your subject. So the topic should go before where you're emailing from. So that is one thing to pay attention to. Topic first, where you're emailing from second. All right. So that is pretty much how a professional email should look. I just want to cover a couple other quick things. Because you're watching this video, you have sent me an email that doesn't quite meet the expectations that I have for professional emails. So what this means for you is that the first few times you make this mistake, I'm just going to send you a link to this video for you to view. Now, if you do this multiple times, I'd say more than 3 times, eventually what I'm going to ask you to do is just to rewrite your email altogether. That is, I'm going to say, hey, I've asked you a few times to try to make your emails more professional and you haven't. So please go back, watch this video again, and recompose your email for me one more time. And one final thought here is that you really should do this for all of your classes and other professional contexts. The reason for that is because in an educational setting, all of your professors have multiple classes and multiple students. And we get dozens of emails a day. And if there's no subject line that we can decipher, and if the body of the email is hard to figure out, then we are having struggles trying to communicate back with you. It also changes our perception of you. And the same thing goes with professional contacts. Email is for professional communication unless it's with a friend or family member. So whenever you're emailing somebody who's not a friend or a family member, you should compose it in a professional way each and every time. That might seem like a lot, but it only takes a few extra seconds. And in the end, it will really, really, really help other people to have a stronger perception of who you are. I really appreciate you watching this video, and I look forward to emailing you later on. Have a great day.